Hi, this is Louis Paul. This is The Colors of Prog, Season 4, Episode 24. Today I'll be discussing the Refugee Esoteric box set. I don't know if you guys can see this. There you go, that's part of it. It's the virtual background always screws with this image unless I blur the background. Apologies for that. I will include as the JPEG for this show, the cover of the box set. Anyway, let us go back to 1967 and the Nice. A quartet of Lee Jackson on lead vocals and bass, David O. List on guitars, flute, and trumpet, Brian Davidson on percussion, and, oh yeah, Keith Emerson on every imaginable kind of keyboard. They only recorded two studio albums of Nice. Three if you count the third, which contains a lot of alternate tracks and unfinished songs, not intended to be released. And then Emerson left to be a member of Emerson, Lake and Palmer, ELP. There's also a few live albums from the Nice, including the Five Bridges Suite, which was recorded in 1970. Down to just a duo of Lee Jackson and Davidson. That's what happened when Emerson left. The band fell apart. Patrick Moraz, Swiss-born keyboard player, was in Main Horse, an eclectic band. They released their only self-titled album in 1971 and then disbanded. So what Patrick Moraz did, allegedly, he was scoring the music for French films, and I bet some of them were for the then provocative early X-rated scene that was so much in vogue then in France. And Moraz was ever busy until he joined the former members of the Nice to form Refugee. They too only had one album. Refugee, released in 1974. It's a bit of a different sounding record. It's many different keyboard sounds, many different genres of music are explored, some funk, rhythmically, and not one, but two epic suites. One's nearly 17 minutes long called Grand Canyon, and there's an 18-minute one called Credo. Wild, crazy, and a bit more grounded, as opposed to the earliest ELP albums. Lee Jackson still reminds me sometimes unfavorably of Arthur Brown when there's the occasional vocal on Refugee, but it's not a vocal heavy album. There's not a lot of songs with singing. There's some, so it's occasional. Now, before they disbanded, Refugee appeared on the BBC in concert and in 1974, I believe, and in Newcastle City Hall in June 1974. That is an interesting thing. And yes, we're looking for a new keyboard player for their next studio album and tour. Moraz answered a music magazine ad, and Refugee was done. Patrick Moraz was now a member of Yes. I believe it's the Relayer album that features him. So the two live Refugee shows, the BBC in concert and the Newcastle City Hall show, were often bootleg, but they didn't sound terrific. You know, it's wherever those master tapes got copied to and who copied them, and they were released on vinyl and CD over the years. And until Esoteric, who's a great label, has been doing a lot of heavy remastering of a whole slew of different genre music, a lot of it progressive. When they remastered this Refugee material, they remastered that one lone album, and they also remastered the BBC concert and the Newcastle City Hall concert. So those sound terrific. This was released in 2019 by Esoteric, as I mentioned previously, and it's much better than if you read reviews of the band, people are really, the one album specifically, and anyone who might have seen them their few performances before disbanding, mention is mixed. But I actually do quite like it, and I especially like the two very long suites, Grand Canyon and Credo. And Credo was spelled Credo. And so that's a surprising little addition to the Patrick Moraz music legacy. Everyone knows after he left Yes, he had a long career as a solo artist and then working with others and popping in and out of other bands. But yeah, so that was the Esoteric Refugee, the Esoteric box set. And yeah, I had positive things to say about it. So that's a show for today. Thank you for watching. Bye.